Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for Loki, Season 1, Episode 4, the Nexus Event. Right? Yeah, the Nexus Event. There we go. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here, right where Batmite is. And basically what YouTube does takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Pepper is, she's debating about it. That's what you're hearing in the background there. Also, if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you get the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Also, I have all the links to my social media on there. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. And I also have the links to this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right. She's playing over there. That's what's going on. Spoiler alert. I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. And that includes the end credits. There was an end credit scene, a very brief end credit scene. So if you haven't seen the end credit, especially, go and fucking watch the end credit before you watch this and then bitch at me because I spoiled the end credit for you. All right. All right. Spoilers from here on out. So, I just want to say, you didn't see the end credit, Raymond? You better leave now because I'm going to spoil the shit out of that one. I can't believe Richard E. Grant as classic Loki. That just fucking made me laugh. It really did. But wow. Yeah. So we know that Sylvie is a Loki, not Enchantress now. So we got to see her as a little girl, of course, played by Kaylee Fleming from The Walking Dead, the one who's playing Rick Grimes' daughter from The Walking Dead. And she does a really good job of it, too. I mean, she's only in it for like a couple of seconds, but still, she actually does a decent job of it. But yes, she is a Loki. And man, yeah, we just find out that she's actually a Loki and most likely a Nexus being. So that's one of the things that how the TVA finds Loki and Sylvie on Lamentis is because there's a spike off the timeline. And it's basically when you think they're in love, but it's not really them in love. It's them finally liking themselves is what it is, even though they're liking each other, but they're actually liking themselves and trusting themselves, which is what a Loki's not supposed to do. We find this out later when Mobius throws Loki in his time cell, and it's a loop of Lady Sif coming in and basically telling him over and over and over again that he's going to die alone by himself. No one loves him, all this stuff. Basically, they keep hitting us over the head with it as to what brought about that whole Nexus event. And it was because they finally liked one another or loved one another, if you will, and trusted themselves as well, which isn't supposed to happen with Loki. So, yeah. Raymond says, I know this sounds petty and jealous, but Kaylee Fleming is way too young to be this successful. Well, that's what happens when you have overly aggressive parents that throw you in the Hollywood meat grinder. She'll most likely pay for it when drugs and alcohol later on. I hate to say this, but hopefully she doesn't. I really hope she doesn't. But yeah. Does Kid Loki have a pet, or is that Gator Loki? That's Gator Loki, by the way. Apple Crow. Yes, that was Gator Loki. And the dude with the gold Mjolnir is actually Boastful Loki, is what he was called. Boastful Loki. So yeah, you had Boastful Loki, Kid Loki, and Classic Loki. And honestly, I fucking love Richard E. Grant. He is one of my favorite actors. Everyone maligns, Hudson Hawk. It's an okay movie. It's actually a fun movie. And he is just so fucking over the top in that movie that he makes that, and he's a great villain. He's even good in briefly in The Hitman's Wife. He's in the very beginning of The Hitman's Wife, and as a coked out executive, and I love him. So just seeing him in that little bit right there, and so yeah, that little bit was Loki gets pruned. You know, the Loki that we know gets pruned after you know, Sylvie and him make it to the timekeepers there and find out that they're animatronic. They're basically Disneyland characters. Yeah. And Ravonna Renslayer, of course, is running this whole fucking show. But also, Ravonna, we saw, was a hunter at one point, and she was the one that plucked uh, Sylvie out of her timeline and then became a judge later on. Or, yeah. So we still have that to deal with as well. And Mobius was pruned as well. So Mobius most likely is still alive. Obviously, it's Owen Wilson, so he most likely is. What comic art is this coming from, Raymond? This is honestly being pulled from different things. So right now they're doing their own thing, and I think they're kind of picking and choosing, cherry picking stuff that they like and adding it into their own story. That's the best I can get out of this, which is what I would do too. I mean, if I was Disney, Marvel, or something like that, and I was running a TV series and I wanted to do something really badass that would get fan interest, but also not bore your fans and also bring in new interest as well, I would cherry pick from the comics and make my own story. So you could have, you know, that boastful Thor kid Loki and classic Loki, you know, which if I remember correctly, that's from a cover of a comic out there where there's multiple Lokis. And yeah, that was actually kind of cool. And Gator Loki, of course, too. I keep forgetting about Gator Loki. But the other revelation too is that all, you know, Sylvie is able to finally convince, well, Sylvie and Loki, or Loki is able to convince Mobius. Sylvie is able to convince Hunter B-15 that they are actually variants that they've lived before. Hey, knock it off. Yeah, you. Sorry, she was getting a little rambunctious over there and loud. Um, so they're able to convince them that they actually lived on Earth before, they had their own lives, that the TVA actually took them and basically mind wipe them and turn them into these characters, these people, these workers for the TVA, and put them to work. Who has done this? We don't know yet, but I bet you their name begins with a K and ends with an Ang. Yeah. Applecrow says, for a second, I wondered if we were going to use the Bifrost to get off the planet, but Sylvie mentions her entire timeline was destroyed. Yeah. So her entire timeline was destroyed again because she is a Nexus being, like Wanda. Wanda, we already know, is a Nexus being. We've already been introduced to these Nexus beings. We are being told about this through different stories. And by the way, WandaVision, the very last episode, the after credits scene where she's sitting out in the woods, they've changed it. Disney actually changed it, and there is, if you go and rewatch it again, and they're going into the cabin, there is something coming down the hill, and supposedly it's Doctor Strange that is coming down the hill fairly rapidly, kind of flying, if you will, towards her, and that's actually changed because she's going to be in, Doctor Strange too. But yes, this is actually all tying together. So WandaVision is supposed to tie into Loki here, which is supposed to tie into, I believe it's going to tie into Spider-Man No Way Home, and then that's going to go into Doctor Strange too, in the Multiverse of Madness. Yes. Raymond says, so if there is a Gator Loki, we may get Throg after all. We might get they've always hinted at this about bringing the Pet Avengers. So there is actually a comic out there called the Pet Avengers. Yeah, And it really is all the pets of the Avengers that have, and are tangentially adjacent to the Avengers, like Lockjaw, who is an Inhuman, things like that. So, Word 789 said I liked Alligator Loki the most. Nice. Yeah. Also, I can't believe they killed Owen Wilson. They didn't kill him. If Loki survived, um, actually, Feisty Fan had a really good theory. Was that maybe when they prune somebody like that, they're dumping them on Sakaar, the planet that Hulk was on. And remember, they had the time holes overhead, and they were just dumping trash and whatnot. And maybe that's what happens: is all the prune people end up going to Sakaar and having a fight in the arena. Although it did look like a destroyed New York, a destroyed version of New York, so it might be something else entirely. We'll find out. But I thought that was actually a decent theory. I thought that was pretty good. Applecrow says, I've wondered if the end credits are specifically supposed to be similar more than just thematic. They all seem to be variations of people observing the characters of each show. Possibly. Yeah. That really looked like a wrecked Earth Loki was at. Yeah, so that was a wrecked New York, is what that was. But it could have been remnants of New York. Who knows? Maybe they, when they pruned parts of the timeline, in the TVA prunes it with the grenades. Maybe that's what happens as it goes and kind of just dumps on Sakaar someplace. We don't know. We'll find out. I mean, we've got 2 more episodes to go. We got episodes 5 and 6. And again, like I want to say, having this drop once a week is the best way of doing this. Yes, I could see myself binging through this quickly in a day, only to be just disappointed in myself because that means I have to go back again and watch it and actually, pay attention to little details. There's little details throughout all of this. And like I said, they hit you over the head with the Lady Sif, routine, coming back again and again and again and telling us why that Nexus event happened. Yeah. Yeah, it was new. I know. You can see Stark Tower. Yeah. So Applecrow says they could get really meta, and the TVA is just the Marvel editors. Yeah, they could. I mean, bring Deadpool into the MCU. You could do it this way. They are in talks after all. I mean, yeah. Word 789 says, I really like this genre of TVA with like a facility with 1970s technology, but panorama time travel office routine. Yeah. Raymond says, if it's a wrecked New York, I hope there's a shawarma restaurant Easter egg. That'd be kind of nice. As long as there's a Loki working behind the counter. It'll be shawarma Loki. That's all he does. He makes shawarmas. It's shawarma Loki. Yeah. So Word 789, that is boastful Loki, and he has a version of Mjolnir. He doesn't have Mjolnir itself, but he has Loki in the comics has tried to make a version of Mjolnir for himself quite a bit. And I'm probably murdering the name, but still, you know what I'm talking about. Thor's hammer. So the Council of Kang shawarma. I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of debate about what to get, what kind of sauce to put on the shawarma at that point. But maybe someone will make a final ruling on that one. Maybe he defeated his Thor. He could have. We don't know. But his name in the credits literally is Boastful Loki. And it's actually played by Dioba Opari. And I know that name from someplace. I don't know where, but Game of Thrones, Jumanji, The Next Level. So he's just been Wrath of Man. Yeah, I don't know him from anything, I guess. Oh, actually, in Game of Thrones, he was Arrow Hototh. Arrow Hotah. There we go. Ta-da! Raymond says it's pronounced meow meow. Yes, I know. I know it's pronounced meow meow. I just like Mjolnir. 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 Tahini sauce is amazing on French fries. Yeah, it is. I've had tahini sauce on French fries. Yes. Also, you know, it's really good on French fries. It's tzatziki sauce. Yeah, Greek tzatziki. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Especially if you can get the real stuff, like, yeah, the really spicy one, that garlicky, and yeah, that one's yeah. But enough culinary talk. Roard789 says, I like where this story is going. Disney Plus in a role with their MCU show. Yeah, I like this tag teaming of um TV series. Basically, it's not even a TV series. It is a limited series. I know I call it season 1. We're not going to see a season 2 of Loki. We might see another you know, another limited series with Loki in the years to come. Um, but it's a one and done. It's like WandaVision is a one and done series. Uh, Captain America and the Winter Soldier is really what it's called now. Is a one and done series. It's basically a means to an end to basically move their stories along in a movie, if you will, and then put that a 6 hour long movie. It's a trilogy. Each section is a trilogy, and then it leads to the big movies that go in the theaters, which I'm liking. I like the way they're doing this. I actually had this idea a long time ago about doing like YouTube videos, but now they have Disney Plus. This is a way of doing these kind of things. Basically, they could do origin stories this way too. So you could do like the Punisher origin story. You could do Fantastic Four origin story this way. You could do X-Men origin story this way. You could do Deadpool origin. Basically, you get the origin story out of the way on Disney Plus, and then you can go into a movie. That way you're not spending, they're still spending like movie budget money on this, but they're doing like a trilogy of movies for the cost of one movie is what they're doing, which is great. Raymond says, so you really think this is all Kang, huh? Yeah, Ravonna is behind it. Ravonna Renslayer is behind this. She is a variant of the Ravonna Renslayer who's in the real timeline. And so, yeah, it's all Kang. He says, I just don't see them bringing in a character that big on the show, seeing on how China doesn't have D plus. So yeah, I don't care about that portion of it. They already cast Jonathan Majors as Kang. We already know he's coming in as Kang. Uh, that would be the easiest way. I mean, this storyline when you involve the TVA, the Sacred Timeline, the Secret Wars, which they've already talked about, multiverse, time travel. It's either Doctor Doom or Kang. It's one of the two. It really is. Apple Crow says this episode pulled me into the thinking it will wrap up well finally. There's always time to fuck it up, Apple Crow. It really is. Word 79. I was kind of hoping that they would that they were these omnipotent beings. No. And you know what I liked too? The way they're situated is the exact same way the three most important people in the world in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure are also situated. They're in the same formation, kind of floating in those chairs. I kind of the nerd in me actually kind of found that funny and I giggled. That's why I used that thumbnail because I liked the floating image of it. Apple Crow says, is there a robot Loki in the comics? I have to imagine that the robot detector is much more significant now that we know the timekeepers are robots. Possibly. There probably is a robot Loki out there. I wouldn't put it past. There's a Hulk Loki. We saw that. When they were kind of going over the variant Lokis and you saw a little bit of them as they were flipping through, one of them was a Hulk Loki. There's probably a robot Loki out there too. So that's what you're hinting at earlier. The Are You a Robot? That's what it was. Not smoking or non-smoking. Clothes or no clothes. Top or bottom. Hulky, yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, a good episode. It was a lot of fun. I'm wondering where the fuck Loki is, though. I mean, I don't know where he's at. I guess we're gonna find out in the next episode here. And you know, also Sylvie is now with Ravonna, uh, with the animatronic timekeepers, and they're the only ones that are there. B-15, Hunter B-15 is knocked out after she helped, Sylvie and Loki take down everybody. And she's only knocked out. So remember, she's only knocked out. So she's going to be back. Um, Hunter C-20 was supposedly killed, which I don't think that's correct. I think that Ravonna was just saying that to get Mobius off the case. And instead, it just made him question even further and actually take Ravonna's temp pad and switch it out. So, yeah. I'm fairly sure that Hunter C-20 is still around someplace and is probably going to be pivotal in this at some point in time, too. Word 789 says, makes me wonder, is there a Loki comic with a TVA? I would like to read that. Yes, there is a Loki comic with a TVA right now that's out there, and Mobius as well. Shit, I can't remember what it's called now. But if you just search Marvel Comics, it's currently in production right now. I think they're on number like 25 or something like that. But it's in comic book stores now. So there you go. Raymond says, so best episode so far. I still like the first episode. The first episode was a lot of fucking fun. It really was. And that's just because we didn't know what we were getting into. And that's my favorite so far. This one is a close second. It is. But yeah, the first episode is still by far my favorite. Just because the whole Miss Minutes thing and introducing us to the Secret Wars and just the way it kind of played out. I like the way they did it. They did a great job. Apogro says, I didn't get the impression that Ravonna knew the timekeepers were fake, though. She wasn't surprised. That's for sure. She was nowhere near surprised that they were androids. And Sylvie calls them androids. She calls them dumb androids. She didn't even say robots. So, well, then again, Sylvie has been traveling around the timeline quite a bit. She's been growing up in the timeline. Yeah, exactly. Word 79. She didn't react at all. She was like, what? No, she didn't. Yeah. Raymond says, oh, yeah, Miss Minutes. Does she have a deeper role, do you think? Possibly. It's all Miss Minutes. That's what it is. I know. It's kind of funny. Again, I've said this before. There's a Funko Pop that came out of Ravonna Renslayer, and the only reason why I bought it was because it comes with a little tiny Miss Minutes as well. Right next to it, it's about that big, and that was the only thing I wanted. So I bought the Ravonna Renslayer. Well, I should say I pre-ordered it since it's not coming out yet. And speaking of pops, if I can get them down. In episode 6, once I do the review for episode 6, this guy is going away as a prize. So that is the variant Loki, the gold variant Loki, the not so rare gold variant Loki. So there you go. Mm-hmm. All right. Word 789 says, I felt like she is running the show at the TVA. Yeah, exactly. She is definitely running the show at the TVA. Considering she's the only one that's going up and talking to the timekeepers. And even though there's guards there and everything, Word 79 says, I like Miss Minutes and the whole world building of episode 1 and Loki just reacting to a new environment. Yeah, it was really funny. I mean, the whole thing of him being processed, if you will, and then being manipulated and then him trying to do manipulation as well in the first episode, and then realizing that Mobius is right, and all of this, that Lokis are just there to make others shine. That's what Lokis are there for. They're just there in the timeline to make others be their best selves, if you will. And that's all Lokis are good for. And that whole realization, Tom Hiddleston actually plays it very well in that first episode. That whole realization that, your life is just to make others excel. When it settles in, you see it, and he gets resigned to the fact, and he's like, fuck. And I kind of like that. He did a great job on that one. That's why it's my favorite episode so far. Raymond says, but I still feel Ravonna and Mobius have a thing going on. Maybe he was the former head of the TVA. It seems like there was a relationship there. I think he might have been the head of the TVA, and she may have. Well, the thing is, I don't know. I still say that Mobius is, he's a variant and has been taken from the timeline. That's why he likes jet skis so much, even though he's never ridden one or seen one in person, that kind of thing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Hunter B15's life was, because she said, when Sylvie shows her, gives her access to her memories, and she goes, I seemed happy, where you can tell she's not happy at the TVA. That's why she's always mean and angry. And most likely everyone there at the TVA is the same thing. So yeah. Applecrow says, I agree, and I wondered for a second if Mobius was actually a Kang variant, and that's why. No, Mobius is Mobius. Mobius in the comics there's a character, Mobius M. Mobius. That's his name. Yeah. I just wanted to see Mobius on a jet ski. Who doesn't? Applecrow says, yeah, this one was well written, pushed the story forward, and well acted. Yeah. You might get him on a jet ski at the end there, Word 79. Don't be surprised if there's an end credit scene where he's riding a jet ski. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't be surprised. Don't count on it, but don't be surprised if it does happen. I don't know anything. I really don't. So I'm just talking about my ass there. Anyway, speaking of talking about my ass, what else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow I'm off. Friday will be another episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch. We'll find out what happens there. Saturday will be Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the weekend, any genre stuff you guys want to talk about, and we talk about it. Sunday. I'm debating whether or not to postpone, spoiler alert, just because it's 4th of July. And yeah, I'm going to postpone it. What the fuck? I'll postpone, spoiler alert, on Sunday. I'll be off on Monday, of course, because I got the day off of work, and then also there's nothing to do on Monday there. Tuesday will be another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time I'm going to be covering the Tomorrow War, which is the new Chris Pratt, Pratty Pratt movie on Amazon. It comes out on July 2nd, so I'm going to be doing that one. And then we roll back around again to another episode of Loki on next Wednesday. Applecrow says Mobius M. Mobius. Yes, Mobius M. Mobius is his name. That is how it's spelled. Yes. Word 79 says, I can't find any jet ski emojis. You have to make one. Applecrow says, I just hope we don't see Mobius strip. Oh, that was bad. Even the dog passed out from how bad that one was, Applecrow. She literally passed out from that bad joke. Anyway, on that note, since this place is now stunk up from that joke, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. But before I go, I'm going to plug some stuff. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. Also, if you can't, hit that like button and the share button. And if you want to know when I'm be on live again next, hit that bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. I change it out every week. Also, all the links to my social media are on there. All the links to my pages are on there as well. All right. Maybe after he empties the alcohol in a Klein bottle. I didn't get that one. Sorry. I mean, I'm a science nerd, but I do have a limit at some point. So sorry, man. And this comes from somebody who was just talking lasers a couple of hours ago. So yeah, class 4 lasers too. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. And again, just take a look at that video at the very end if you're still on the fence about subscribing. Otherwise, I will see you again on Friday for Star Wars, The Bad Batch. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that that door is actually a time cell, and you're just going to be reliving that same moment over and over and over in time, because it's a not so subtle metaphor as to what the fuck's going on in the main story. Get it? A little on the nose? Yeah, I guess so. Thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Friday. Until then, have a good night. Stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and take care. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.